Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. Ran a business successfully for 30 years, have a degree in political science. I've been trained in interspecies communication, done a lot of research with my psychic abilities into the cause in other dimensions in terms of business, medical, um, why you're sick, the root cause of many diseases, all of which makes it easier to take care of whatever the situation is. If you know where it started, then you know where you were broken. And then you can start taking care of that rather than throwing yourself out at the symptoms. One of the issues with the medical industry in this country is that they are very proud of themselves when they can put together a group of symptoms and put a name on it. And then they go ahead and prescribe something pharmaceutical for it, and they think they did their job. They didn't. The symptoms that they got from their patients. And putting a name on a group of symptoms is no achievement. The achievement is if you can cure people, heal people. You're not even allowed to use the word heal in this country. I have been tempted forever since the whole plague situation, because I don't use the word that you all use about that virus. And I've been tempted uh, to ask if somebody can guarantee me protection. I will go ahead and, with remote viewing, go into causal and go into what perhaps might be a way of taking care of all of those people that did take the injections against the plague. But I'm not ready to do that yet because I'm not ready to go down yet. I don't believe that any of us is going to go down by revealing things today. I think Trump has done an excellent job. Master chess player Trump. Oh my God. I would never want to be your enemy. But let's go ahead and let's look at. I think people are doing a lot of what they call trabajos, which means black magic jobs on me. So I never want to do this chat lately. And I used to enjoy it so much. And I know it has to do with people doing curses and black magic for me not to do it. So let's go ahead and do it because this is really important. Let's go ahead with the map of the United States first. And it looks really good. I know we're in a government shutdown. I mean, the aliens are ready to come in. The country supposedly is falling apart. But in the other dimensions, which is where reality is created, we look great. Look at that. So you're going, what the heck is that? Those triangles are grounding and rooting. And let me put here what somebody said about those triangles. This is somebody that I don't even know. And what they said was that at the moment when the shift, which is the planetary shift to the new 5D Earth happens, giant crystals will burst through the Earth's surface. They were placed in many specific spots around the Earth in anticipation for the shift, and they will act as a grid to activate portals throughout the Earth that will help create the shift. And the crystals that they show, and it's a shame I can't get it up here for you to look at, um, are triangles, pyramids. And we have been seeing this on the US map for several months already. We don't see it in Canada, and I don't remember if we tried any other place, but it doesn't really matter. This is the United States, and we have an incredible amount of protection. And you can barely see it, but there's two green Merkabahs, and Merkabahs is incredible protection. I don't see any dark places there. There's a weird symbol at the top where Canada is, and I don't remember what it means, but basically it's the same thing as the Merkaba with the two triangles, but it doesn't have the base in either one of the triangles, which I suspect would make it more unstable, but I don't really know. Then you have the wavy lines, and then you have the lines that spike in purple. That's the frequency the United States is vibrating at. But what's interesting, and I cannot talk about it because I don't really know, the ones that are like triangles rather than wavy is an extra one. And I think it has to do with the fact that our DNA is going to get extra strands. Why would I say that? I'm only saying that because that's the information that my remote viewing is giving me. That it is additional. And again, I don't think it would be for the entire planet. It would be for the places where somebody decided that we could use those extra strands of DNA. And that's talked a lot about in the spiritual community. And I've never really gotten into that. But that's what I believe it is. I don't know what it is, but that's what I believe it is. That's the thing with remote viewing. You get a lot of information. That's what is it? I don't know. That's just the way it is. I see it. Okay, let's go ahead and go to two maps I decided to do. And I asked my masters, can I really show this stuff? And they said yes. Okay. As long as it's true, it's not going to get me into trouble, according to my masters. So here we go. I want to do the Erika map first. Erika Kirk. Let me say that I don't like her body language with Trump. I don't like her body language with you, Trump. When she tried to move even closer when you were waiting for her to speak after her husband died, and the way she tried to move in closer on your left side made me very uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable as in, Melania, get over here. Uncomfortable as in, what is she doing? And I've seen her in other situations with you, Trump, and I'm not comfortable with her language, with her body language with you. Has nothing to do with you, has to do with her, has to do with some kind of an intention. And I'll tell you what it reminds me of. And I have to sketch it, so I'm not saying she's doing this. But many, many years ago, there was some military guy who came into Miami and he was able to manifest rings out of the air, like the rings that you put on your fingers. Well, it turned out that one of them he had bought at the local Saks, I think it was. But he was a very good healer. He was very powerful. But he would have people line up in front of him, and from his second chakra, underneath the belly button, I've never even gotten a Buddhist monk to be able to verify what this is, but I know it exists because I have seen it in me. And that's why I was asking about it. But it's like a giant penis comes out from below the belly button. In the case of this guy that came into town and then got trolleyed out of town by the police, a year and some later, he would have people stand in front of him and I would be to the side because I didn't trust him. And from there, he would insert this into people. It's like a kind of mind control. I guess maybe I need to look into this further. The only other person that I've seen it in was this military man. I saw it in myself twice, not going into anybody, but just simply an extension. I was like, what the hell is that? And a very powerful monk came into Miami years ago, and he was in a home that I went to visit him, me and 50 other people. And when I walked in, he was sitting on a chair with his back to me, and he had that instrument so long that it was draped over his shoulder and then hung. It's like a giant penis. And I was like, oh my God, I got one of those, but mine is really small. And I can't control it. But I'm going to look into that. He was an incredible healer. His father had lived in a cave for I don't know how many years. And before the Gulf Coast, Gulf of Mexico incident with BP oil, he was desperate for us to take him there in a boat. And none of us had boats. It was on the other coast anyway. We didn't understand, why did he want to go there? I think he understood the destruction of what was going to go on there with BP oil, which has to do with planetary destruction, not just the Gulf. But this movement by Erika and the way she pushed her body into yours very kind of reminded me of that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But let's get her map up here. Here it is. So I sketched it, Erika. The first thing I got at the Schumann on the left-hand side of the body, which is the right side of the paper that you're looking at. And that was also in Kellyanne Connor's, I think. And at the top, we have Adam Schiff. So now this is 2 or 3 maps in which we have, now these strings, those are the cannabinoid receptors. This is a layer of the cannabinoid receptors, which I exaggerated for people to be able to see. Where you can really see them is behind those green lines that extend. And they extend 18 inches on the physical dimension, and then they slip into the other dimensions. But this sketch, I was trying to show people what my handler was doing to me and other people. So anyway, so we have Schumann here at the bottom, Schiff at the top, and then we have total mind control victim that was activated. And I am remembering when I said a couple weeks ago that they had activated mind control people, but this time it would be mainly women. So, and then we have mother-in-law, but I tried to look her up and she certainly doesn't look like there's any red flag there. That doesn't mean she's a bad person at all. And then at the top, which we cut off a little bit, is the word Greer, Greer, about ETs. And you know who Greer is. He's the guy that talks a lot about the ETs, who was flitting around the country about 20 years ago. And I looked at him, I said, he works for the government. It's just there's no question. There's just, I mean, and everybody was so impressed with everything he had to say and all he was revealing. Well, he works for the government. People are not saying the truth of who they are, or I can't say the whole truth about who I am because I don't know everything about me, but I am saying the truth when I'm saying it. And if somebody finds out different, they need to tell me, because honestly, I want to know. This career guy. Okay, so back to Erika. And that thing that's at the top, this is an unedited graphic, so we got to get that out of there. I can cut those things, but I'm not really sure that I should. So, and we were talking about a different level, so ignore the text that's at the top. So, cannabinoid receptors are really interesting, aren't they? They can do a lot of stuff. So then I decided to try and do another graph, another sketch. And so the only thing I could come up with, the person that's ready to take over Kirk's movement, which I'm not sure is her. But this is like a setup. And then we got Schumann again at the bottom. And then we got Adam Schiff. Oh, Schumann would be coming in from the solar plexus, which is the where you channel personal power. And Schiff would be coming in from the air quadrant, which would be the mind, not that much about physical stuff. And then for some reason, I have up there the Oklahoma bomber. I have no idea. So we are in interesting times. We have interesting things happening. I was not happy when I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. He looked so sweet. But from the beginning, I said, there's something going on here. This does not feel right. From the first time I saw this woman, this does not feel right. When she went and got on stage and her movement towards Trump doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel right. And I can see that people have already listened to their instincts and are looking further. And I want to say something. I have not been so happy with Candace Owens because her stance on religion is just too severe. This is not a time for that. That's like We're leaving that time. We're moving into what the Tantric Buddhist monks believe, which is we're all gods, which I understand that's in the Bible. It's not something where you're supposed to be holding God up here. You're supposed to find the God, the Christed energy within you, which is in the center axis of the cannabinoid system. So she's not been my favorite person, and sometimes she's gone after people so aggressively she's scary. She's smoothed out, and I like it that she's going after this situation. I know he was her friend, so I hope that that clears up as gracefully as it can, and that we don't have the entire country making fools of ourselves, taking one side or another when it is, I would say, it's a setup. His murder was a setup. So let's get into the Vatican. Let's get into the hospital on the water in downtown Coconut Grove, right next to Grove Isle, where in the morgue they do satanic practices. They take organs out of people, they put them in refrigerators, and they take energy from them. And that if somebody goes into the hospital, as somebody in Miami decided they didn't want their enemy to come out of the hospital, they would just do them in with no issue. We've been working on that in the other dimensions. We had 2 sessions, my group and me. It was not easy to be able to get people to see things. It's not a question of me insisting that they see what I see. What I do is I step back, we do the mantra, we have the proper music, or hopefully it's the proper music, and then they go. What I found the second time is I have to spend the entire time pulling off the stuff, the black magic that has allowed for these practices to go on for decades or hundreds of years, and nobody sees it. Even if a dead body drops in front of them with one of the organs hanging out, the person will not see it. That's how powerful black magic is. So I spent the entire time, this second session, which was 2 days ago, just simply clearing and clearing and clearing. And then a lot more people saw. What I did was, oh, and after the first night, then I woke up in the middle of the night. I already said this, and somebody was doing like magic on me, heavy duty. Okay, so here I'm clearing, and then I always try to see who it was. It was the Vatican. But that doesn't surprise me because I met somebody from the Vatican 20 years ago, and they were incredibly aggressive and abusive with a level of hatred towards me personally. And I kind of knew that they kind of knew who I was, but so what I did with the chat, was it last night, the night before? I don't remember. I spent the entire time moving stuff, moving it off, so that the group could go in and see. But what I said to them was the night before we were there in destruction mode. Don't go in destruction mode. Go in revelations mode. What does that mean? If there's a window that you can't see through, break the window. If there are curtains, yank them down. If there's a room where there is no light, go ahead and open up the wall so that light can come in. I said, take your backpacks all full of construction stuff for destruction of or opening of, and take cables with light, and then have a hose like the firemen have, but it needs to have water with cannabis, which helps to settle the environment. Lots of spirits there, lots of spirits of babies. Shocking. Lots of symbols, which I wouldn't know what they mean anyway, and we were going as quickly as we could. But as I said the day before, when I talked about this here, I believe on this chat, in the center of it, they had a large pyramid the size of a room out of red jade. And it held the cosmic egg of planet Earth, of human beings on planet Earth. And they were holding it prisoner. And today, there was a great article, a channel called Max Pain, Maxpein, and it was about the Vatican, CERN, um, The place in New York where they have the big clock, Times Square, and there was one more place where they suction people's energy, which is the thing I was fighting off Schiff and my handler, Rene de Villegas, because they wanted to suction off my energy. There's a lot of information about this out there, but everybody has been afraid to say it publicly. And certainly everybody's been afraid of the Vatican. I don't know if I told you that in the Vatican, 6 blocks around it are completely controlled by radionics frequencies that keep everybody brain dead. And if there's an incident there, then the police, a special police is called in and they clean it up so that nobody finds out. So the Vatican is like everything of obviously top secret, etc. But we are in Revelations, which is why we were able to do this. The place that has me the most uncomfortable is that hospital here in Miami. Everybody that I know goes there to have their babies. When the kids are sick, when they're sick. And the man in the morgue that was cutting open the body where they were putting pictures of me, I could tell he was a mind control victim. We don't know that half of the people that are doing this are mind control victims, and they're just obeying commands, which means they don't get. It's like a zombie that's coming at you. You can't stop them, like the Manchurian Candidate thing. But that thing is still operational. I did not look to see if anything was in the news, if whatever the destruction and the chaos that we created intentionally in the other dimensions, if there was any manifestation that was visible to regular people. And you know what, when my followers couldn't see, I said, you know what, when Jesus Christ died, he left a lot of messages, and this was one of them. That crown of thorns is not coincidentally on his third eye, where wisdom is. What he was saying is that we're not allowed access to our wisdom. So I told my followers when they were working 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever the 2 days was, go ahead and take off the crown of thorns. In other words, take off whatever is covering their eyes that they can't see. And it was interesting because somebody said that the minute they did that on somebody, the person was like, she could tell they could actually see. So the people that are bad people that know more about the other dimensions and the chakra system and the third eye, they have it all over us because they know how to cover things. You can have something right in front of you and you will not see it, like everything that is getting uncovered now, a lot of which Elon Musk brought up. And we're like, what? Right under our noses. Yeah, but you can't see it. And it's done intentionally. It's a very large issue. On the other hand, in unraveling that, there's an opportunity per fast forward in terms of spirit does not want me to talk about this. Bad spirits. Ah, like they bit me right here. Whoosh. It's a very good time to get into fast forward, having to do with not just the other dimensions and wisdom, to be able to defend ourselves, to be able to defend our country, to be able to defend what human beings are, to be able to defend planet Earth. The whole thing with the plague was off-planet directed. So you can go ahead and put everybody in jail if you want. You're not going to be able to put the off-planet directors in jail. But if we know what weaknesses we have that allows them to take advantage of us, then they can't do that. We need those tantric monks so that Washington, D.C. does not have to be trying to do business in a cemetery. Nobody would try to do business in a cemetery, and that's what we're trying to do. So give me a second and let's see, because I'm sure I have a couple of other things that I wanted to say, even though like I say, somebody's really working really hard for me not to enjoy these chats. And it's not because I have to think, well, gee, maybe they're going to send a really good hitman after me. That's not the issue. It's Okay. I have something to recommend to you. Trump, also Elon, but Elon's not going to pay attention to me. I know. There's a homeopathic remedy called causticum compositum, and it is for exhaustion, and very specifically, it's for your immune system, and very specifically, it hurts. Causticum. It has zero side effects, and it repairs your immune system. Particularly, especially, your immune system is an electrical system. It's particularly good for radiation. All those frequency attacks that everybody is experiencing and they don't even know it. It's very, very good for. So I am recommending it, Trump, that you look into that. And I'm recommending that you also look into, because we used to have a company called HEEL, that had all the best homeopathic remedies, and they were in the United States, and then they went after them. After that summer where they murdered 14 alternative practitioners, half of who were medical doctors, and that summer they went around murdering them, but in a very loud way, like with shotguns in front of people, obviously sending messages. He'll left the United States. And you might want to, this needs to be part of medicine because it has been for 5,000 years. Zero side effects. You look at it and you go, this is going to take care of it. Like with shingles. The story of shingles, I'm not going to go into. Shingles, you look it up on the Google. Oh my God, the skin, look at that. Oh my God, the pain. And then they have, I don't know what, that doesn't do very much, because if it took care of it, then we wouldn't have all this screaming about how painful it is, and it is. And you go to a homeopathic doctor and they go, oh, you got shingles. Here, take these little sugar pills. That's going to take care of it? Yeah, it does. You take it and take care of it. Well, maybe I didn't. I had a friend of mine who took it, and then she said, well, but maybe I didn't have shingles. Maybe you did, and maybe homeopathy is really unbelievable. But this is for immune system. So everybody who has to deal with all that you have to deal with, Trump and Elon, I'm not trying to order you around, Elon. Come on. It's really good. A little vial like this is like $18. It's nothing. And it'll last you forever. Anyway, somebody had a great post on X. They said that portals are being designed disguised as posts. And they are, because everything that is AI is a Ouija board. It's a portal, like a Ouija board. So you have these fabulous photographs, and it is an opening to off planet energies that want you to go down. So when that person put that portal disguised as a post, I was like, wow, people are waking up. Submarines. Somebody said you shot up a submarine, Trump, around Russia. I'm not that interested in that. There were, maybe still are, a submarine off the coast where Elon has his stuff, and it was where I sketched that circular thing that had to do with deep state, and there were X's all around it. It's off this coast of where you live, Trump, off the coast of Miami. Those are the three that I got. Submarines, just sitting there. Oh no, sorry, they're not sitting there. There's a triangle. I'm doing too many things at a time. I'm tired. Those submarines are part of a triangulation having to do with radionics and psychotronic weapons attacks. So that would have been on Elon, it would have been Miami, and where you live, Trump. That's where I've seen them. I wasn't looking for submarines. I have this information. It's been like 2 weeks, and I didn't know if I should say it. I mean, but it has to do with a triangulation. And that hospital, Catholic hospital in Miami has one of those radionics machines at the top. And then I forget what the other point of the triangle. It was a submachine, the submarine, the top of that Catholic hospital, and then another place. I think I don't want to say where it is. Um, Chicago had a portal. We closed it. And then I found out that, and I think I already said that, the Great Lakes has many portals to ETs. They come in and out. Okay, what does that mean? Well, Washington, D.C. is a portal. It's the law of attraction. It's not hermetic. It's not, the Higgs field is broken. And you're going to get, law of attraction, the quality of what's there. So, in terms of Chicago, the quality of what would be coming in, I believe, because I think the law of attraction also applies to off planet. Not, I can't 1,000% say, but I think it does. So, by the way, how is Chicago? Because I didn't see that much news about it being like god awful. Um, and we did make a big difference. Is it playing out in the physical dimension? I suspect it is, but I'd like to know. Gerardo Rivera, that was on the View and who had the first talk show, I think, in the United States. And you'll remember that I think I said it here, I overheard my control, his people saying, I actually remember him saying to people over the phone that they weren't going to be, this was decades ago, they were not going to be able to be as open with all the whole sex thing and all the satanic stuff because of the Gerardo Rivera show. He was giving everybody permission to say everything so that, and lately, Gerardo has not been that happy with Trump, but he said something. He seems to have had a shift. He said something a couple of days ago in which he said, Trump, please, can you make, what was it, the Super Bowl ice free? Can you allow the Hispanics to have like a good time? Can you do that? Can you give them that space? I thought that was so sweet. I thought that was so sweet. So he's from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Ricans have incredible wisdom. On the physical dimension, they can be sometimes slower, which happens, by the way, with Indians, with people from the Dominican Republic, but it's because they're very much not just living on their physical, but they're very much living with their spirit, and they have a higher level of wisdom. So I don't know. I just thought this request of his was sweet. To give them a little space to have something that they can enjoy. I don't know. This whole immigration thing is very distressing to everybody. But I do know that there seems to be a change in the severity of what looks like the militarization with the illegals. It feels softer. I don't know what that is all about. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and quit, and I'm going to do a lot of purification so that I can go ahead and enjoy these chats again, which I'm not enjoying. I feel like I'm delivering a message to my handler. Decades ago, I used to have to call my handler every morning at 8, and he would tell me everything that was going on, and I had to tell him everything that was going on with me. It was funny because his area of expertise was the Caribbean, and he would tell me what was going on in the Caribbean, but what was really going on in the Caribbean. And then the next day or 2 days later, I would read in the news, the Miami Herald, what was going on in the Caribbean. And it would be kind of the same story, but not really. But of the two stories, what he told me was going on in the Caribbean, the lady who was supposed to do my nails has canceled on me twice. And what the Miami Herald or the news, or Miami Herald, would say was going on was a story that, oh yeah. But the story that he told me made total sense. But they weren't the same story. And that's the news for you. You're not getting the story. Now, today with X, that's a different story. It's too much information. So I'm going to say goodnight. And I'm going to do a chat now in Spanish. And we're going to go back to the Vatican. And our intention is to open it to the light, not to kick it to where it should be going because of the Satanism, but to open it to the light. Take down the window, break it open if it's not letting light in. No opening in this room, tear down the wall. What's behind that door? Just tear the door down. No more door. Now we're doing it in the other dimensions. But our intention is to bring light to the Vatican. And I believe that because we're working with the energies of revelation, you're going to see a lot more information about the Vatican. People are going to feel a lot safer talking about them, including this Max Payne, who put out, I don't think I have any of it here, no, put out a great video about them funneling people's energy, suctioning people's energy and living off of it. That's what the ETs do. That's why they want war. When there's war, astral particles that are necessary are augmented. Astral particles, according to Hinduism, are a force. Your spirit is built of astral particles. Your spirit is a force. That was the other thing. Hold on. Erika, see that little body next to her? That's her astral body. In other words, she's not integrated. Her physical body is a robot, and that's her astral body. Now, here's the trick. It's purple, which is of the highest order. I told you I don't know everything. I don't understand that. But she's not integrated. She's deeply, deeply, deeply split. Okay? So that's it. Try the homeopathy. Look into homeopathy. 5,000 years. Plants. Teeny little pills. No secondary effects. And you learn so much when you read about it. So I'm going to just end with this. I had a friend of mine who came to me. People come to me with a lot of unusual issues, which they don't dare discuss with anybody. Her vagina had closed. I didn't know that can happen. Get loose, yes. Close, no. I said, well, what do the doctors say? He says, well, not something happens to some women. So anyway, so I said, you know what? I'm gonna look up and see what I can find. So I looked up in homeopathy. The thing that's recommended for that is the same thing that's recommended for your liver and for rage. And there's a name for that, by the way. When the vagina closes, I have no idea what it is. It's the same homeopathy. In other words, when a female's vagina's muscles close, they are angry. Is that cute or what? I learned a lot because for a couple of years, I would spend a significant amount of time checking out the different remedies and then making connections and going, oh my God. By the way, cystitis is also, whether it's a man or a female, rage at the opposite sex. So cut to the chase. Go to the mantra. Even though I hate him, I love and accept myself. Or even though I hate her, I love and accept myself. And don't go into, oh no, I don't. Emotional honesty. If we were emotionally honest, we wouldn't get sick. All our organs are because we're emotionally dishonest. All of our conditions are because we're emotionally dishonest. We don't want to feel or accept that we feel that way. Our body takes it on.